this afternoon to tell you a little bit about John Lewis, to tell you a little bit about our history, but more importantly, probably for the element of the afternoon that you're interested in, about our principles and structures, how we bring those to life for our employees, who we term partners, and I'll explain about that in a moment, and how we believe an outstanding employee proposition drives a differentiated customer experience. So the story starts in the centre of London, Oxford Street, in 1864. I have that date forefront of my mind because we have a very special birthday this year, 150 years. It starts with a small draper's shop run by a Mr. John Lewis, who set out to provide a very simple proposition for his customers, namely that the goods would always be of the best quality and that the prices would always be the most keen. So if John Lewis was the guy who created, if you like, the commercial bedrock of our business, his son, John Speeden Lewis, is the man responsible for the culture and the organisation we now have. And Speeden was driven by a fairly simple dynamic around fairness. He didn't think it right that the people who worked in the business should derive less value than those who owned it. In other words, he turned the traditional business model on its head. Instead of capital employing labour, in our business, labour employs capital. And Speeden had the opportunity to try out this different way of working because his father bought, in 1914, a bankrupt business some 3 miles away called Peter Jones. And Speeden put a very simple proposition to his workforce at the time, namely, if they would work with him to turn round a failing, potentially bankrupt business, he would give them a share in the first profit it made. It took him 5 years. But in 1919, the workers in Peter Jones took home 5 weeks extra pay each the first year the business turned round. Some 10 years later, in 1929, Speeden signed the first of 2 trust settlements that create the business we have today. So in 1929, he signed over a financial interest in the business to the workforce. And then in 1950, the second trust settlement, he actually gave ownership of the business. In effect, he gave his birthright to his workforce. It was signed over for an interest-free loan that was never repaid. And how we've grown. So John Lewis, the department store chain, had the delight just 1 week to go into the trading year, so we had 1 week left, we hit it in time, of becoming a £4 billion business. We are very fortunate that our customers regularly nominate us for customer service awards, and we have been fortunate enough to win the Randstand Great Place to Work award as well. So, how do we make it all work? And there are 3 principles on which we work: purpose, profit, and power. I hesitate to stand in front of so many experienced retailers, but actually the purpose that the John Lewis Management Board, of which I am a member, is required to deliver is very simply the happiness of our members. So we are tasked with creating happiness for 31,000 people. Power is shared in our organisation through a number of elected structures. The main holding board of our business, the John Lewis Partnership plc, has 3 elected members of the workforce on it who participate fully in every single board decision. And then profit. And again, for retailers, you are going to laugh at this point. In addition to being required to deliver happiness of our members, we are required only to generate sufficient profit. Not maximum profit, but sufficient profit. Because Speeden believed very clearly that a happily engaged workforce and a business that focused on the long term would be the most successful. Now, you've probably heard, a number of you, of the Harvard Business Review on the Sears profit chain that talks about the customer, the employee, and the profit. This is, if you like, our version of it. So we believe that an outstanding employee proposition is driven by great leadership, by knowledge, support, and training. We believe that those partners suitably equipped to serve our customers go out to deliver a customer service experience that is differentiated and brings customers into our shops. Furthermore, we confidently believe that enables us to deliver our goal of sufficient profit, and that the distribution of that profit, because every March our profits are shared amongst our workforce. We have no external shareholders. The only way we finance our business is through borrowing, so profit is a very significant element, but we redistribute it as a percentage of salary. Everybody who works in the business gets the same percentage. And we shared last March, when the profit was announced, with a group of partners who joined our business just 6 months earlier in Delhi. So here's what they thought about it.
Bonus outside of the UK at the very own Indian sourcing office.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
So that was the first distribution of profit to our partners in India, and for me it was a matter of considerable personal pride that we've been able to take what is a unique model and structure and translate it offshore for the first time. So we were very pleased with that. Now, when we talk about culture, defining your organizational culture is really, really important. And a lot of companies do this by seeking to describe behaviors, in other words, how they want the organization to behave. We did some work about 4 or 5 years ago now on what that should look like. And instead of working with outside consultants, we actually went out and engaged with the workforce and said to them, define what it means to you to be a partner. So what we did was we codified a group of behaviors against which we measure employees on an annual basis as part of their appraisal. But the language resonates with the workforce because it's what they said and created rather than what was imposed by either the managers or indeed a third party. Leadership is also absolutely vital. If you want your employees to have a great experience at work, the quality of your leadership is really, really important. And we have put a great deal of investment into a leadership team development program that we've designed and created in-house that creates what we believe to be an empathetic but commercially focused leadership style. And the challenge with leadership, particularly when you look at it as an organization of the length of ours, is you get quite a lot of urban myths about what your culture is, your history, and therefore there is a tendency to fall back on how we used to do things. And retail is a competitive business.